You're having some friends over, or you want to make a real nice dish for a nice date, you want to really kind of impress and make it look like you're pulling out all the stops, we're going to do it right here with you right now. Something real easy to make, but it looks really fantastic on the plate. Chicken Cordon Bleu. Okay, so thank you for checking us out on the Anodized Chef. We're going to start right into the chicken, and when you're shopping for chicken, you want to try to look for a uniform sized chicken breast. And really what I mean by that is if you look at the 1.5-pound containers, you want to try to find them to be about 8 ounces. You want to have 3 even sized chicken breasts in there. And that's pretty much what we have here. I've got 2 that we're going to work with today. And really what I want to do is I want to try to keep them the same size because they're going to help to cook more even, and it just makes a better meal. So let's take the chicken, and we do have to do a little bit of trim work on it because it doesn't come completely clean. Like there's a little fat piece on the end, and there's also a tendon in there that we're going to trim out. So what I'll do is we're going to start, actually this knife needs to have a little edge on it. So while I cut it, while I sharpen it, let me remind you that we have a knife sharpening quick rip that you can check out that really kind of goes into detail about how to do this properly. And definitely check that out. It's definitely worth it because you learn the proper techniques, and then the most important step is to wipe that knife off because when you sharpen, you actually put steel bits onto the knife. You want to make sure you take that off before you put it in your food. So let's trim this little piece of fat off here. Oh, much better. Trim that piece of fat off it. And then there's a white tendon right in here that we want to get underneath with the knife. Trim that out of there too. So we want to make sure all we have is chicken, because that's like, if you leave that on there, it's like gristle on a steak. It's really tough to eat. So you want to try to just get under it and leave as much of the chicken on there as you can without, you don't want to cut the whole piece of chicken out of there either. So try to go up and under. And I'll show you one more time on the second piece right here. Trim this little piece of fat off, because that's the connective tissue to the skin. And then you want to get under here, and there's that, see this is like, it's like a tendon, it's where the muscles meet the bone. And if you cut that part out, here you go, cut that right out of there, because that's not going to be an easy eat. And then, what we're going to do is, oh, there's a little fat on the edge over here too. And a lot of times you say, oh, fat is flavor, and that's true. But what we're doing here is we're going to be frying it with fat, so we want it to be a nice clean breast so we can have it to stuff properly. So, all right, so we've got this here now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pound it, and I'm going to lay a piece of plastic on it, and I've got the plastic wrap here. And great tool to have in the kitchen, everybody should have at least one, is the mallet. And the mallet is it's a great pounding tool. Got teeth on one side, and that acts as a tenderizer. You also have the flat surface on the other side. And you want to have a little bit of weight on it too, because the weight is really what does it. You don't want to stand there and pound it like this, because now you're using all arm muscle and you're going to get tired fast, especially if you have to do a lot of them. But you want to just kind of settle down and just let the weight of the hammer actually do the pounding, so that way they don't get tired quick. And I learned that the hard way when you have to do hundreds and hundreds of these bad boys for a catered event. You learn quickly the proper techniques, let me tell you. So, just cover the chicken with plastic, and then we're going to whack them down. And you want the goal with pounding them down is to get them uniform in size, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the thick parts to match the thin parts and spread it all out. So that way there, it'll cook more even, and it'll be easier to roll when you fill it with our stuffing. So let's. I'm going to go ahead and pound these down now. These bad boys are going to be huge. Now, you want the proper way to make chicken cordon bleu. You can stay with us, or you can channel the French gods of heavy metal and sexy women, or just stay here, because I'll show you. All right, so we've got a nice ham And Bob actually picked this ham out. I like the baked ham better myself as well as opposed to boiled, but really it's a preference. I mean, a nice smoked ham would probably be pretty good in here too. What we have here is a nice baked honey ham, but you can use, like I said, you can use your favorite. There's a whole bunch of different kinds that you can do. But like I said, I think, a nice baked ham is probably the best. And I'm gonna go ahead, because these are so big, I'm gonna go ahead and lay 2 pieces of ham inside. And I'm gonna do the same with nice domestic cheese. It's a domestic Swiss. You can get imported if you really want to make it sexy, but if you're on a tight budget, the domestic is probably the best way to go. I'm going to go ahead again, because these chickens are so big, I'm going to go ahead and put 2 slices in. With this cheese. It's delightful. And then, now we've got our chickens laid out here. What we want to do is take it from the far end. Let's see if I can turn this a little so Bob can see. Take it from the far end and roll it, just like if you were rolling, well, never mind. And then just kind of roll it up like that, and then tuck each side in like this. And what I'm going to do is I have this empty plate here just for that reason. I'm going to transfer right to that plate. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And that's the joke I tell all my line guys, and that kind of wins them over. Then I say, okay, now do 400 of those, and they're like, oh, are you kidding me? So anyway, put that right on there. And then the trick with these, right, at this stage of the game, like if you've got a little bit of time to play with, pop those bad boys in the freezer just like that, because what'll happen is, if you pop them in the freezer for like an hour or so, they'll harden up enough, and it makes it a lot easier to bread a partially frozen chicken breast, stuffed chicken breast, because it doesn't open up and fall apart in the flour when you're handling it. It actually works out pretty good that way. So that would be my recommendation. If you've got the time to do it, pop them in. We're going to keep moving with it. We're just going to roll them out just like this. And you might see what I'm talking about with the rawness of it, and because it's not frozen, the little challenges that we're going to face. But if you do partially freeze them, it's so much easier to bread, and I highly recommend it. Even just an hour or 2 is fine. But we're going to get into that breading next. So I've got a standard breading station here, and what I've got is I've got all-purpose flour. I've got about 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and that'll be enough to bread probably 4 or 5 chicken breasts. We're only going to bread the 2 here, but if you wanted to set up a breading station to kind of go the distance, like I was talking about earlier, you don't have to make 400 of them, but make enough for everybody. And then I've got 3 eggs. We're going to make a standard egg wash with eggs and cream, and I've got half and half over here, and that's okay. You can use milk. Some people use water. I think a little bit of fat in the milk would add a little bit of binding, and it helps. And then I've got some standard plain breadcrumbs here, and I have some edge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to season the edge. I'm going to season the flour with the edge, and we've got about a teaspoon there, and we're going to go about a teaspoon over here. And then we're also going to throw a nice healthy tablespoon of chopped fresh parsley into the breadcrumbs as well. It makes it look a little nicer. Now, crack the 3 eggs right into your pan, and watch for shells. One trick that you can do, and I think I've mentioned this before, is crack the eggs into a separate dish, so that way there you don't have any broken shell in your mixes, especially when you make it something like a meatloaf. Nothing worse than cracking an egg in there and having a shell fall into the meat, and then you got to go digging it out. So just a little trick is to crack it open in a cup on the side, which I clearly do. I'm one that talks a lot and doesn't do, so I can figure that out. I'm just going to mash these eggs up real quick. And we'll scramble them up nice, and then we're probably going to add to those 3 eggs, we're going to add about a cup of half and half. And what we just want to do is thin those eggs and stir the lug and kind of scramble it up. And the one wet, one dry method comes into play here. And if you check out some of the prior episodes, I think we actually went through a whole breading station. So there's a lot of points of reference to go back to in our prior episodes that really kind of come into play here. So I'm going to take these extra cheesy chicken cordon bleus with that double cheese in it, and we're just going to dredge them through the flour, and I'm going to kind of give it a good roll. And notice how careful I'm being with the real soft chicken. Now, if this was frozen, you wouldn't have to worry too much. But really, what you want to do is you want to get the flour, and by dredging, you're kind of dragging it through that flour, getting into all the nooks and crannies, and then shake it off. Go right into the egg, and then I'm going to go with the other hand into the egg to be the wet hand. Now I have a designated wet hand now. And then this one here, I'm gonna come back over, drain the extra egg wash off, go right to the breadcrumbs with the dry. And then I think what we're gonna do here to make it extra bready and extra sexy is we're gonna go back into milk again with the dry hand, and we'll roll it through, and then we're gonna come back through the bread one more time just to get an extra layer on there of breadcrumbs. That'll really help when it fries up. It'll look really nice. Give it a good golden brown color. And then the trick, the old restaurant trick, and if you haven't figured out yet, I'm kind of a hack, but the old restaurant trick is we're going to par fry it. We're going to fry it just for the look, for the color. And then we're going to finish these bad boys in the oven, because we've got to be careful that if we fry them too long, especially when they're so big, you fry them too long and they're going to be really done on the outside and still kind of pink on the inside of the chicken, because we know it can't be pink. So let's stay with the dry hand and get this chicken good and breaded. Little flour. And it's okay if you have a little ends poking out there. We're going to work on that in the breadcrumb, just kind of tucking when it gets on the tray before we fry it. Get the egg coated real good on it all the way around. And then get the breadcrumbs to roll. And then that's when you want to start to kind of pinch those edges a little bit too. And keep the meat inside, all the ham and the cheese. Try to keep them on the inside. And then we'll go back in here again one more time. And then now that these guys are nice and breaded, what we'll do is we'll set up our oil. And we'll go ahead and give these guys a quick golden blaze. So we've got our burner here set up, and what we've got is I've got a nice little stock pot here. And if you've got one of those fry daddies or one of those little fry things, and those will work out pretty well too. But what I've done here is I've just taken a small sauce pot and I've put about 2 to 3 inches of vegetable oil in there, and I brought that up to about 350 degrees. Now, you don't need to have a candy thermometer to test the oil to see if it's 350 degrees. You can easily control that by your thermostat on your stove. But one way to tell, or the best way to tell if your oil is ready, is to drop a little bit of the breadcrumb in there. And if it sizzles right away, and I think Bob's getting a pretty good shot of that, if it sizzles right away, then you know the oil is ready to go. So let it go and bring it up to a good temperature. Now then what we're going to do is we're going to take our chicken and we're going to very carefully set it in that oil. And really what we're going for is that nice golden crispy color on the outside. And I'm going to go ahead and put the other one right in there too, because the swimming pool is big enough for 2. Nice little jacuzzi action going on there. In the meantime, while this is cooking, I'm going to tap off the rest of these breadcrumbs into the trash can. Let these guys go for a minute, and then we'll set this up to go in the oven. Alright, so let's see how these guys are doing. Now, if these guys are really rolling hard, and you're browning up way too fast, you can easily control that by just turning the heat down just a little bit. Or if you notice that they're not really bubbling at all, and there's not much action happening, first of all, you want to test that with those breadcrumbs early on, and then turn it up and get it hot. Because otherwise it's just going to soak up that oil. That's going to be gross. No, it's not going to be gross. It's going to be, but you want it to be rolling in there. You want it to get a good color in there. Otherwise, it is just going to suck that oil right up. And that looks pretty fantastic right there. So ideally what you want to do is you want to control that temperature with your thermostat on the stove. If it needs to go up or down, you've got the capability of doing that. But just be very, very careful when you work, especially with oil that deep. All it takes is a little splash on it, and it's going to get on your hand or your arm or whatever. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. So just be very, very careful. Be cognizant of your surroundings. And anytime you're putting something in, put it away from you. So keep that in mind too when you pan fry. It'll splash away. Drop it away from you this way, because you don't want it to come back and have you go like this. That's the last thing you want to be doing. So keep that in mind. All right, now what we're going to do is we'll pop these in the oven. Set the oven at about 350 degrees. As thick as these puppies are, we're going to let them go probably for about 20 minutes or so. We'll temp them out and then we'll see what it looks like. But while these are cooking, I'm going to show you a nice, sneaky, cheaty kind of little sauce that we're going to do. But don't tell anybody, it's between us. All right, let me pop these guys in the oven. So before we get into the sauce, I want to tell you about the music you're listening to right now. These guys, Alekhine's Gun, they're called. They're the newest member of the Anodized family. Check these guys out. The song you're listening to right now is The Wrath. Vajrapani. And then you can find that song on the new EP that just came out this week. It's called Meditations in Wrath, and you can find it at Amazon, Spotify, Bandcamp, and iTunes. Definitely worth a listen. These guys are out of control. They're out of New York, so you'll love them. Anyway, let's get into this sauce. So we're going to take a saute pan. We're just going to get this bad boy fried up because we want to make a nice sauce. While they're cooking, we want to be able to pull this thing together and have a nice little sauce for it. Now, simple ingredients. I'm going to bring the edge over just a little bit because we're going to keep it up with just a hang of the edge. But it's 3 ingredients. I've got chicken stock, and you can take your favorite brand of chicken stock, get that into the stock, into the saute pan. And I've got some heavy cream, and that was probably about 3/4 of a cup, and I'm going to do about 50-50. 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream too. And we'll bring that up and let it roll just a little bit. And a lot of people call this something like a supreme sauce, or it's it's kind of like a cheesy Alfredo, but it's got a chicken stock foundation to it. So what we'll do is we'll bring this up, and then we're going to fold my secret ingredient, American cheese. And we're going to fold that right into it, and then what we're going to do, now again, I know it sounds kind of weird, but when you do it, it's going to be amazing. And you're just going to drizzle that right over the chicken, and you serve that with, well, you'll see when we play it up. But our cream is coming up. So what we'll do now, let's see how it's just starting to boil on the sides. The biggest trick you got to be careful of when you're adding cheese to a hot cream is it's sticking to the bottom and burning. So when I do a lot of it, like if I'm doing a big pan of sauce, I'll bring the whole pan up and let it roll, and then shut it down and fold this in at the end. And again, with the American cheese, you can pick your favorite brand. So I had 5 slices there to both fit 3/4 of a cup of each, and now I'm going to shut it down. And we're just going to let those melt right in. And what that's going to help to do is, not only is it going to add an amazing flavor to this sauce, it's also going to help thicken it. So the heavy cream, and you can use whipping cream, unsweetened of course, and the chicken stock. And then we're just going to let those 5 slices of cheese melt. We've got a really sexy sauce there. So let that sit, and what we'll do is, now I'm just going to give it just a pinch at the edge. What the edge will do too is it helps to bring out a little bit of color to it too. So that sauce is ready to go. When the chicken comes out, we'll wrap everything up, we'll do the plate, and we'll get into the wine. So our chickens are ready, and they were temped out at 165 or above in the thickest part because you want to make sure they're good and cooked. And then what I've done is I've got a nice clean sanitized cutting board as opposed to the cutting board that we used to pound all the chicken on, because you don't want to have cross-contamination. So you want to make sure you're using a nice clean cutting board. So what we'll do is we'll take our blue and we'll split this guy right in half. Oh yeah, look at that. You get a shot of that, Bob? Look how beautiful that looks. We'll set that right on our plate here. And what we've done is we've taken our show plate and we've made up some mashed potatoes ahead and some nice seasonal steamed vegetables. You can take whatever's at the market, what's in season, depending on the time of year. Right now we're in the middle of winter, so we get some nice Swiss chard, some butternut squash. We put some asparagus, some broccoli, some carrots, some onions. Nice little hearty, healthy veg medley, just steamed. And then what we'll do now is we'll take our sauce, our secret supreme sauce, and I'll tell you, this is going to be over the top. And we'll just drizzle this right over, literally over the top. And it will be absolutely beautiful. And then if you have any fresh herbs, like say you have a sprig of rosemary or you have a nice piece of basil, you put that right on there too. And I'll tell you, this sauce is great with the mashed potatoes too. Stir those mashed right into it while you're eating it. Fantastic. So there you have it. That is our rendition of chicken cordon bleu. And now we'll get into the wine. So the wine we chose to pair with the Cordon Bleu today is a Lunetta Prosecco, which is out of the Cavit Winery, and it's a lot like a champagne. It's actually an Italian sparkling wine, and one of the deceiving things on the nose that we got right away is it smells like fruit straight bubblegum, but it's deceiving because it's really a dry wine, and the bubbles help to offset the smokiness of the ham inside the Cordon Bleu, which is perfect. And it's really a great pairing. I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you for checking us out. Visit our website at anodizedchef.com. For more information, you can check out more reviews on wines like this. You can also check the chef's blog and a whole bunch of other different pages that you can check out there. Or you can check us out on Facebook to keep up to date with the most recent updates on the show at facebook.com/anodizedchef. That being said, I want to thank you for joining us in our Magic, Madness, and Mayhem. We'll see you next time.